Before we go into the details of the plot of Planescape Torment, it's important to figure out what kind of game and story it actually is. Known for its bizarre setting, hence the title, which is an amalgam of the D&D universe, which makes this a fantasy story, but with a slight twist. It has a creepy, macabre, supernatural, medieval, gothic, and sometimes Victorian feel, whereupon the setting mostly occurs within the city of Sigil. The main character looks bizarre, to put it lightly, something like a zombie Neanderthal. Even the cursor looks like a scalpel or a bone stiletto, so the setting, inventory, visual character design, and general look and feel are all very strange. The Amnesiac Hero character of the Nameless One has an epic history, yet the story is simple even though it feels much larger than it is, due to the profound nature of the themes of identity, the acceptance of change, and pain. Your character's revealed history is legendary. This is a story for gamers who can sit and read, who can handle long swaths of bad writing, as well as for people who analyze stories, because it's playing with storytelling concepts by showcasing them in philosophical discussions, bizarre scenarios that could only be possible in such a setting and medium, which are all enveloped by a simple quest for discovery, even if the character himself is just a cipher of the player. Combine that with the gameplay element of infinite continues, which nearly every game ever has had, and give that a narrative reason for existing, built into the D&D rule set with the Infinity Engine, which uses the alignment system based on choices you make in gameplay, and you have a wonderful combination of story with complementary visual and narrative explorative gameplay. This is foremost an adventure game. You'll be exploring the environment and the history that your character has had with it, which has surpassed hundreds if not thousands of years. RPG gaming and story genre conventions are turned on their heads. Your character is essentially a zombie who asks questions in almost every dialogue. This is probably not something most writers would even attempt. It's just a bad idea. Your alignment is based on your choices, and there are benefits to doing things the wrong way or the evil way. There's lots of gray scenes where the player is free to simply choose what they like, even if those choices have no plot impact. There are no elves, no dwarves, no dragons, or other familiar fantasy tropes, and the zombie trope is at least executed on a detailed and professional level. The succubus companion in the story is the opposite of its myth. There are only 3 swords in the game. You can't even equip one of them. One can be changed irrevocably to another, and the other one can be changed into a whole bunch of other weapons. You can find your own previously dismembered arm and use that as a weapon. There's not a lot of armor for your characters, but you can use magical tattoos instead to improve your stats. And then you have from the get-go a floating, joking, taunting, sarcastic skull as one of your most trusted companions. We have a literal ghost haunting us, and who wouldn't want an angry Jennifer Hale constantly loving us in death? A huge portion of the game is merely dialogue. That is a good thing for story buffs and people who are attracted to stories, provided, of course, the story is actually worth telling. And it's a bad thing because the storytelling isn't that good. The dialogue is large and monotonous, with the Nameless One mostly just asking questions and having other characters provide large info dumps on the setting or their history. Even I was skipping through dialogue because there's simply too much. There's too many characters, too much irrelevant exposition, even along the main quest, where you just want to get to the goal to see what's up with the Nameless One's past. And there's maybe only 20% of the quests might have a glimpse to sometimes providing a full-out background info into the protagonist's past. And there's only one optional side quest called the Sensory Stone one, I think, that had any relevant dramatic value. It's pretty plain. This is curious because the plot is of discovery of one's nature and history, where it coincides with exploring every nook and cranny, so in a sense, side stories are part of the main plot, even if they're completely optional. You just don't know what's under that rock is going to be relevant to your character's history. The book version, or the typed-out PDF dialogue bulk, is just that, a novel of almost pure dialogue, of the Nameless One just asking questions over and over again. It's really a bad piece of fiction in the traditional sense, but I feel it was mostly created for the purpose of referencing certain scenes. The corollary to that is the setting is almost all about the protagonist. This is what a story needs, a focus on the hero. So here you have a flat protagonist cipher for a hero, which in most games is bleh, who doesn't necessarily change as the story goes on in the dramatic sense, like in a hero's journey or any sense of traditional character development, but who changes metaphysically as we reach the climax, due to the nature of his condition that's revealed. And in learning about new places and peoples, this character's various past lives and influences are slowly shown to us. And unfortunately, this is the only way such a story could work, based on the nature of the problem we're trying to solve, which is the Nameless One's immortality. What role does the player have with breaking this cycle of memory loss after a death? That's never addressed or explained, but seems like the powers that be have had enough with this weird immortal human, since now the player is in control. It would have been interesting if there was a limit to death before you get a complete level of forgetfulness, but that's just me being too wishful. The second corollary is nearly every companion also has a tie into the protagonist. They're not just all along for the ride. They actually have more depth than the protagonist, no matter how much older he is. They almost all have a good reason to be here, from simple affections to life-changing promises and events, and even a complementary gameplay function. The third corollary is most fights in the game are avoidable. You can just run away from them. Go to the next scene, talk your way into and out of something. That's all doable. This allows for multiple ways of solving problems, with an ending whose multiple methods of solution are built up as you go through the optional quests. All the dramatic revelation we ever so slowly might have acquired or missed during the journey occur at the end. It is one of those cliched experiences that get better as you go along, that look and feel horrible the first hour, which are slow and lame, whose plot reveals slowly build up to a dramatic climax. Dreams might have been missing through the majority of the story, but it all comes to a resounding ending, whose impact and choices are all slightly different for each player. To me, that's a successful execution for a story-based game with choices. And contrary to popular opinion, no, the main themes are not torment or redemption or strictly self-discovery or even what can change the nature of a man. The medium is, and always shall, be the message, and that message is exploration. Planescape makes you want to explore because of its oddness, its weirdness, and the potential to discover something about the mysterious hero and the weird situations they're in. It also helps that Anna has a ridiculous Cockney accent, Mort never shuts up, and Ignis just wants to literally set the world on fire. There's a bit more to say about the Infinity Engine combat system, the excellent sound and music design, and the occasional voice acting bit, but those are all secondary. Voice acting for this level of dialogue would just not work, and would slow down the pace even further. Tony J is perfect, and Michael T. Weiss would be another Grey Jared if he was born in a magical environment. A plot analysis of this video series should take into regard the premise of the game, to tell a story through a variety of subverted literary and RPG gaming conventions, to explore a mysterious world and its characters, and to learn something about ourselves through these magical characters' struggles. There are more audience revelations than protagonist ones, which could be taken either way. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let us begin following the unbroken path of Zerthamon, hunting for the Golden Sphere, and unrelentlessly updating our journals.